Hey folks, this is a computer. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. You can meet people, you can learn new things, and you can even waste your fucking time.
Ever since the dawn of humanity, people have been dicking around playing games as a way to kill time when they're supposed to be doing other things. Like, why do your laundry when you can listen to a funny Russian guy say PUTAS? Procrastinating on homework is a pretty obvious example and is one of my personal favorite pastimes. But this relentless avoidance of responsibilities can carry over to inside the classroom as well. Back in high school, my physics teacher would always post video lectures for us to watch the night before class, but then he would just discuss the same material in class the next day, so my friends and I just did the video notes and played Tetris the whole time. My calculus teacher would always give us a solid 45 minutes to work on the homework due next class period, but instead I and like 5 other people just played this word guessing game called Contact, and guess who never had the homework done next class? There was this weird couple of weeks in sophomore year where everyone was emulating GBA Pokemon games. It was the one time in my life when my nauseating amount of Pokemon knowledge actually counted for something. But this all happened in the age of Chromebooks, when affluent middle-class suburban public schools decided, yeah, let's give these brain-damaged, irresponsible, and easily distracted children access to their own personal electronics at all times. But back in the olden days, middle school and early high school, every second on a computer was a gift. The computer lab, such a magical place. It was the #1 hotspot for fucking around and not doing work. I mean, we had the whole internet at our fingertips. Why work on your 6th grade math project when you could go on cool math games? Some of my earliest memories of the school computer lab were in 1st grade, where our teachers would always let us screw around on this program called KidPix, which is not a browser game, and I am not signing up for your 15-day trial, fuck you! A few years down the line in 3rd grade, we started learning to type. Who knew that the human race could invent something more advanced than hunt and peck? The program that we used a lot during those early days, and is the source of my trauma, was something called Type to Learn. I am not paying $40 for this. Fast forwarding to 8th grade, I was in a computers class that had an entire unit dedicated to once again teaching us to type. Why, did they just have nothing else to do for those couple of weeks? Pal, if you're not able to type after 5 years of practice, there's no hope for you. But there was one typing game we played in that class that came to be pretty popular. NitroType. NitroType is a game where you type. That's about it. You race against other users to try and type a passage of text in the fastest time, and these bots were no match for me. It could possibly even function as a good tool for increasing your words per minute, but you could also press enter to skip a word once per race, so there's that. You can even customize your experience with different types of cars, paint jobs, and effects. It's a NitroType, I'm playing against bots, who cares? You can also buy Nitro Cash and pay $8 for a 1-year subscription to the Nitro Gold membership. Listen, if you're spending real-world money on NitroType, I'm not mad, I just want to talk. What else is there? Well, I mentioned cool math games earlier. That place is the undisputed champion of wasting class time on stupid video games. I mean, they knew what they were doing. They called themselves cool math games despite their games having absolutely nothing to do with math, just so kids could be like, no teacher, I'm not wasting my time, I'm playing math games to help me learn math. And the teachers would always be like, yep, makes perfect sense. It's totally in character for you to spend your free time practicing math. Weirdly enough, though, I never really played many of these games myself. See, I was a responsible student. I didn't waste my time on dumb stuff like that. That way I could waste my time on other dumb stuff. The only cool math game I ever spent any real time on was this little thing called Run, named in honor of what most people did when they saw me in middle school. Run is basically a sort of quasi-3D platformer where you play as this funny alien thing and, you guessed it, run. It's an auto runner where you have to jump and strafe with the right timing to reach the end of the level. One of the more unique things about this game is how you can rotate the stage to run on a different plane when the floor you're on just isn't working out. You can't clear a certain jump, just touch the wall. Humanity is never advancing beyond this. My main gripe with this game is just how repetitive it is. You go from blue rectangles to light blue rectangles. Yeah, there's a reason you only ever play these games for 5 minutes during class time. On the subject of auto-run platformers, might I suggest Rolling Ball 3D and Slope. These are both games that involve rolling balls down hills in the most hideous environments you've ever seen in your life. It's kinda hard to tell which game ripped off the other. Slope was the one I remember myself and others playing a lot, but when I tried to find it, I just googled online ball rolling game, found Rolling Ball 3D, and thought, yep, this looks like the one. But when you load it up, it displays a link to a website which, when entered, takes you to this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give Slope the upper hand here. They're both a mild amount of fun, at least enough to get you through a lesson that you should probably be paying attention to, but gonna be honest, can't imagine playing these in my free time. As far as differences between the two, I'd say Slope is slightly more fast-paced and challenging, but Rolling Ball 3D has these blue polygons for you to touch, so there's that. Oh god, the .io games. These things came to prominence more so around late middle school and early high school. They're simple multiplayer games that you can play with strangers and with friends. The great-granddaddy of them all was Agario, which, if you think about it, should really be pronounced agar.io, but everyone's always said Agario, and it sounds less stupid, so I'm gonna go with that. You play as a circle and go around collecting a bunch of smaller circles to grow bigger, and if you get big enough, you can even eat other players. The goal is to be the biggest circle for as long as possible. Your life is only gonna go downhill from there. The trade-off to getting bigger is you also get slower, which makes it harder to catch up to smaller players to eat them. However, if you have a big enough size advantage, you can press the spacebar to split yourself in two and boost forward, and you can press W to expel just a small amount of mass. But this can leave you vulnerable to getting eaten by other players who may not have otherwise been big enough, so there's an element of strategy to it beyond just mindlessly wandering around eating people. Slither.io is another popular one. Here you move around as snakes and consume these little balls of energy to grow bigger. If you run into another player, you die, and any nearby players get to eat your corpse. You can also press the spacebar to get a speed boost, but at the cost of expelling some of your own mass, so you have to be strategic in deciding when it's worth it to maybe get a big chunk of energy or kill another player. Powerline.io is quite similar to Slither, with the main differences being that you can only move in 4 directions, you can die by running into yourself, and the main way to get a speed boost is by rubbing up against another player, which adds a bit more risk. Powerline games can get weirdly intense, racing to pick up a bunch of mass left by a dead player and weaving in and out of tight zigzagging gaps at high speed is actually quite a bit of fun. I definitely prefer it over Slither. Now, listen, I respect the Slither community, but I come from a Powerline household, I can't help it. It's definitely some of the most legitimate fun I've had with any of these games. I remember one time in my sophomore year of high school, during spring break, I was bored out of my mind and ended up spending a solid hour or so just playing this game. For fun. It was a dark time in my life. AcolyteFight.io is another one. It's a battle arena type thing with a pretty impressive amount of different spells and abilities that you can use in combat. It's surprisingly high quality for a goofy web game. The problem is, a friend and I tried playing it and it turned out we were the only human beings on the planet currently active on the game. Bonk.io is interesting. I thought it'd be about fighting back against the terminally horny, but no, I guess we're just gonna keep letting him run amok. It's sort of a physics-based puzzle platforming game where you compete in a variety of levels and challenges against other players. You have to utilize physics and the environment to navigate your ball towards the goal before anybody else. You can also use the spacebar to modify the weight and mobility of your ball. I am way too immature to keep talking about this. Next. Scribble.io is a genuinely awesome time. It's definitely the IO game with the most popular credibility, I'd say, and for good reason. Basically how it works is people take turns drawing stuff based on a given word, and everyone else has to try and guess the word they're drawing. Points are awarded to guessers based on how fast they figure out the word, and to drawers based on how fast they can get as many people as possible to guess correctly. It's a blast to screw around with friends, drawers making the most ridiculous things imaginable, guessers trying in vain to parse out what the hell they're seeing. It's a wonderful way to have a good laugh with your friends, and honestly the only game here that I think is legitimately worth playing in your free time rather than just, well, I'm stuck in class, time to play Powerline. Cookie Clicker is iconic, you know, the game about those things that are not biscuits. Fuck you, England! I didn't actually play this in school that much, but I remember one time at this one summer camp where we spent a week making a rudimentary game, I and a bunch of other kids would always play it and leave it running during activity breaks. Cookie Clicker is a game where you click to generate cookies, and once you get enough of them, you can use them to buy stuff that can automatically generate cookies, which can help you amass more cookies more quickly to help you buy more stuff to help you amass more cookies more quickly. Basically, it's the most shallow feedback loop of all time, but it can be kinda funny to leave it running overnight and see the results. Look at that, the number went up, my life is complete! Though it does eventually get to a point where the cost of buying new facilities is so steep that the wait isn't really tolerable anymore, and you start to realize, why the hell am I playing Cookie Clicker?
Ultimately, these sorts of games are nothing more than mindless time wasters, but I do think they have a bit of charm to them. It's fun to look back on the sorts of things that I and others did to get through our K-12 education. Like, yeah, I get it, they're not Breath of the Wild, but they're a thing that we did together. They're a way of connecting with others, forging bonds, making memories. So now when I look at, say, Powerline, I don't think, oh wow, it's that dumbass web browser game. I think, oh wow, it's that game that my friend and I played in English class when we were supposed to be working on a paper. Similarly, now, whenever I have work I need to get done, I don't think, wow, now's a good time to get on that. I think, what the hell is wrong with me?